Hey there guys, this is Pharaoh2091 and welcome back to Let's Play Virtue's Last Reward. Last time we left off, we were successfully able to duplicate the Excelsior, save both Quark and Alice, and we're about to just vote, you know? We're like, okay, since Alice is gonna be defaulting ally anyway, why not ally? Until it ended up being Betray, I ended up dying, and I guess Alice woke up immediately. Went to the room, voted Betray. That's not cool. So this time around, we're doing Betray. Although it could be possible that an entire different thing will happen here. So, we'll see what's up. Because everyone else freaking betrayed. So, they better not get mad. Luna and I stepped out of the AB room.
Why? What happened to... It's not fair to betray someone who isn't voting. I thought...
There was nothing I could think of to say. Even I didn't really understand why I picked Betray instead. It almost felt unconscious, like some other part of my brain was making the decision. Perhaps I'd been possessed by some sort of evil spirit that had moved my finger to the Betray button against my will. Right. Well, we should just go see the results.
Really? We already know what they are. It's just simple math.
The look in her eyes were more painful than any punch I'd ever taken. I turned away and almost ran toward the projector. Anything to get away from those eyes. Hopefully I'm right here.
Result, please.
So let's see if everyone voted Betray. Or am I going to be a big butthole? Betray, betray. Betray, betray. 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 Is this the first time everybody freaking betrayed? Because they're like, no, we don't trust any of you.
Points, please.
What? It wasn't possible. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, and looked again. No. How can Alice's vote be Betray? That's not possible! Alice! She was standing inside a second room from the left. The room that should have been empty. Why? My mind was still reeling. Where had she come from? As I was trying to form a sense, she began to move toward us. From around me, I heard a chorus of muted gasps. It seemed we were united in our surprise and confusion. Alice drew to a spot in front of me and glanced up at the display.
Thought you'd get an easy couple points, huh? Not so easy when you have to look your victim in the eye, is it? Coward.
Me, a coward? You've got some balls saying that to me after you picked Betray. Why are you even here?
You gave me the antivirus, didn't you? Tenmyoji told me. Thank you. I mean that from the bottom of my heart, honestly.
But you should still be under the effects of the anesthetic.
Yes, well, I still am. A bit. I have a throbbing headache, and I can barely stand. It's horrible. I'm more resistant to anesthetics than most people. A result of my training. I have a feeling Zero Senior knew that. They gave me way more than the standard dose of that gas when they kidnapped me. In any event, a few minutes ago I woke up in the infirmary. Tenmyoji explained what was going on, and I got here as fast as I could.
So you showed up right after we got into the AB room.
Yes. Right in the nick of time, too. About 10 seconds before the deadline, as I recall.
You did that just so you could betray us?
Right. What? Don't I get to do that? I mean, it turned out to be the right thing to do, didn't it? You two chose Betray. If I'd stayed back there, I'd have lost 2 points.
So you're saying it was self-defense?
Yes.
You're full of shit. Self-defense my ass. You chose Betray because you wanted out. You had 6 BP. If I picked Ally, you would have had 9. That's what you were trying to do, right?
So what if I was?
Are you serious? You would have killed me! Look! I only have 1 BP! You were this close to murdering me! Just admit it. You were planning to kill me so you could escape.
Don't be stupid. I knew you'd choose betray. There was...
Tell the truth!
That is the truth. Why am I the only one getting the 3rd degree here? Look at those results. 2 other people just tried to kill someone.
Fi and Dio.
Yes. If Dio had chosen ally, Fi would have killed Tenmyoji. And if she'd chosen ally, Dio would have killed her.
I don't want to be rude, but it looks like Clover and Kay tried to trick one another. Not that it seems to have worked. If either one had chosen ally, the other one would have 9 BP right now.
I turned to look at the results again. Before, I've been looking at my own. I hadn't realized that there was only one word all across the roster. Betray. Whatever trust we've managed to build had fallen apart. Everyone was suspicious of everyone else. Had it been the bombs? Or had it been something else? Whatever the reason, if it kept up, we'd never manage to escape. We'd be trapped in a cycle of 0-point rounds for the rest of our lives. Something had to be done. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Alright guys, pay attention. You've probably already all figured this out, but we can't keep going like this. If we don't start being a little more trusting, we're never gonna get out of here. We need to work together. I might as well have been talking to a wall.
My apologies, Sigma, but I need to think on something for a bit. I would appreciate being left alone.
Kate.
I'll be leaving too. Things are getting a little too intense here for my delicate constitution. Sorry.
Dio.
Well, in that case...
A2 Phi?
Yeah, sorry.
Without another word, she turned and left the warehouse. Dio and Kate quickly followed suit.
See? There's your answer. In the end, everyone's just thinking about themselves. So I would appreciate it if you could not treat me like I'm the only villain here. Come on, Clover. Let's go.
Hold on! I'm coming! Are you feeling okay? I was really worried, you know?
I watched them walk away, Clover practically jumping with delight to have Alice back. Before long, they reached the yellow door and disappeared beyond it.
Everyone's gone.
You aren't gonna leave too.
No,
Are you sure? I chose betray.
I know. But I still believe in you, Sigma. I think your hand must have just slipped or something. Right?
My chest hurt, and when I blinked I felt something hot and wet prick the corners of my eyes. Luna, I bit my lip. Before I could think of anything to say, the metallic rumble of the doors closing echoed throughout the warehouse.
The ambidex get round 3. Star key. There is the
As many times as we want, huh?
Yes, as long as we have the star keys. That means we can keep playing the AB game over and over, too. Sigma? Could you show me your bracelet?
Why?
Do you remember what Zero Jr. said?
As soon as the gates close, your colors get all shuffled out automatically. The parent solo is time to top around a bit too.
Oh yeah, I remember. Let's see here. I'm a cyan pair. What about you?
I'm a magenta pair.
I wonder what the others are.
They could be anything, I suppose. We won't know until we have a look.
We've got about 80 minutes until the next set of chromatic doors open. So, what should we do now?
Everyone else has gone off on their own.
Yeah. physically and emotionally. I really don't like how this is going. It won't matter how many times we repeat the AB game if nobody trusts anybody else. We'll never be able to get out of here.
Maybe it would help if we all had a common goal. Something to unite our hearts and minds.
Yeah, but we already got something like that. We all want to get out of here. That seems like a pretty clear goal to me, but everyone else chose betray. Including me.
Well, what if we have an enemy?
An enemy?
Yes, a common foe. Like the person who set the bombs, for instance.
After coming back from the lab, I told her about the bomb while she gave Alice and Quark the Accelerator. Yeah, that might work. If we can figure out which one of us planted those bombs, and everyone else would work together against them.
Right.
But how do we figure out who it is?
Well, do you have any clues?
Clues, huh? Oh, that's right! The memory card! I pulled it out of my pocket and held it out toward her.
What's this?
I told you, a memory card. It was under that bomb we found in the lab. I think whoever set the bomb and dropped it.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what's on it, though. We couldn't find any kind of memory card reader.
Oh, I guess we can't really use it then. Oh, wait a second. You know what? I think I might have seen something.
Huh?
Yes, I remember. The infirmary. I saw it when I was searching the infirmary with Theo and Quark. There was a memory card just like that one.
Then...
Yes. I think we can see what's on it. The computer there should be able to read it.
Thank you for using your brain, Luna. Luna and I exploded into the infirmary, nearly running into Alice, Clover, and Tenmyoji. Quark was there as well, of course, but he was just as we left him, asleep on the bed.
What are you doing here?
What the hell do you care? I opened my mouth to retort, though then thought better of it. If I really had wanted people to start trusting each other, well, real change starts at home. As quickly as I could, I explained the second bomb in the memory card and how we'd come to the infirmary in hopes that we could discover the contents of the ladder.
Okay.
Then stick it in already!
Go ahead.
Right. Could have made a really bad joke there. Just as Luna had said, there was a small slot under the screen, exactly the right size to fit a memory card. Within moments, the screen was filled with what appeared to be random letters. And we saw this too. In one of the endings, like figuring out who planted a bomb. We saw this screen. Right now I'm just taking a look at the lettering here. If there's anything I can make out, and I don't think I can. What is this?
6 rows, 22 letters each.
It looks like the odd rows use one set of letters, and the even rows use another set.
In other words, the first two rows just repeat.
Yeah.
Is this some kind of code or something?
It doesn't look random to me. I think there might be a pattern. I just don't know what it is.
Was there anything else on there?
No, it doesn't look like it.
So all we get is this gibberish. Hey Alice, you haven't said anything for a while now. What's up?
Does any of this look familiar to you, Clover?
What do you mean?
Have you seen something like this before? Maybe during your training?
Training?
This is...
So you do recognize it.
All right, knock it off, you two. How about you share it with the rest of the class?
Alice sighed and stretched her neck from side to side.
I believe this is an encoded message from a terrorist organization.
What?
They call themselves the Myrmidons.
Myrmidons. I just heard it, damn it! For some reason I felt like I've heard that name before. We have, because a certain douchebag is part of it.
What are the Myrmidons?
Put simply, they're a bunch of thugs who are trying to destroy or dismantle most of human civilization.
So this thing we're looking at, you think it's theirs?
Well, they have a number of different codes. but I do think this is one of them.
Then the bomb?
It was set by one of the Myrmidons, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, I can't say for sure, of course, but it seems likely.
Damn, I got a ton of questions for you. But let me start with this one. What the heck does that thing say?
I don't know.
What?
How am I supposed to decode it? I don't have the key. Without a key, it would take literally hundreds of years to decode.
What about you, Clover?
Well, if Alice doesn't know how, I sure don't.
See.
Not much we can do then. We can come back to that code stuff later. I've got another question. Alice, Clover, who the hell are you? Why do you know about this code?
That's...
You told me your job is to eliminate enemies of the state, or something like that. Just what the hell kind of job is that? I think it's time you told us what you do.
Sorry, but I can't.
And why not?
Because you might be one of them. You might be the person who set the bomb.
That's idiotic. Of course I'm not.
Really? And where's your proof? For all I know, you're my enemy. I can't tell you anything.
I'm not your enemy. I'm your ally. I'm your friend. I just want all of us to get out of here. Just, please, tell us. Please. We need to find out who did this so we can all escape. But we have too little information. We need your help. Fine. If you won't tell us about yourself, then just tell us about the Myrmidons. What else do you know about them?
I'm sorry.
Before I could blink, she leapt up and run out of the room. Hey, wait! Alice! I took off after her.
How long are you going to keep following me?
Until you tell me what you know.
Then why don't you just ask Clover?
Clover?
You already know she works with me.
Well, yeah.
Then why don't you...
I wanted to hear it from you.
Why?
That's a good question. Remember the crew quarters? Or this garden? We got paired up for 2 separate rounds. That means I've spent more time with you than anybody else here. Maybe that's it. I guess I'm just curious about you.
What are you talking about?
She spun around to hide it, but I caught a blush of red on her cheeks. We walked down the path to where it ended next to the pond. It seems we're on path to getting Alice's ending here. I stayed silent. Alice sat down on the bench. We gazed at the smooth surface of the pond for several long minutes before she began to speak.
You don't hate me?
What? Why?
I tried to kill you.
You mean an AB game?
Yes. I was so scared. Who wouldn't be? Kidnapped and locked up, forced to play some sort of bizarre game. And then we found that bomb. I know I probably sounded calm, but as soon as we found that thing, all I wanted to do was run away from it as fast as I could. Things just went downhill from there.
What do you mean?
I remember hearing that Quark had collapsed and running to the infirmary with everyone else. When I got there, I realized I couldn't understand what anyone was saying. And everything looked... I don't know how to describe it. It was like watching a video on fast forward, only it was real. Then I started to feel like... It's hard to explain. I guess you could say I didn't feel like I was myself, and it only got worse.
Well, that was probably the Radical 6.
Yes, I think so. I don't remember much after that. But when I woke up in the infirmary, suddenly all that fear was back. So all I could think about was getting out of this place as fast as I could. It never even crossed my mind that it could kill you. God help me, even if it had, I don't think I would have cared. See? I'm horrible. You hate me, don't you? Just do it!
What? Do what?
Kill me! Get it over with!
What the hell, Alice? I'm not gonna kill you. I don't even hate you.
You're lying! I could have killed you. I would have killed you.
Come on, calm down. No one's killing anyone. A single tear rolled down Alice's cheek. Then another, and another, leaving shining lines across her face. When I reached out, I saw her tense just slightly. Slowly, I brushed my thumb across her cheek and off, taking her tears with it.
Why are you doing this? You know, you kind of remind me of my father.
That's who you were after, right? The people who killed your dad?
Yes.
Did they have anything to do with the Myrmidons?
Will you promise not to tell Clover that I cried?
Come on.
If you keep your mouth shut, I'll tell you what you want to know. About myself, and about the Myrmidons. Deal?
My lips are sealed.
Really?
What crying? I don't remember any crying.
Good. All right then.
Alice took a deep breath and began. My father is Egyptian, but my mother is French. They met while my mother was in Egypt on vacation and married shortly thereafter. When I was 3, we all moved to the U.S. My father was a scientist, and his field was cloning. He was recruited by an American lab, which is why we were moved. Both of my parents had used English around me from the time I was born, so I didn't have any problems adapting to life in the United States. By my 9th birthday, we've been there for 6 years. That was when it happened. In the middle of the day, my mother showed up at school. Her eyes were red and puffy, but she didn't say anything to me on the drive home. When we arrived, there were several policemen there to meet us. My father had always been a very punctual man, and when dinner time came and went, there was no sign of him. Even I began to realize something terrible had happened. It wasn't until several years later that I finally learned the truth. My father's lab had been attacked by terrorists, and he had been kidnapped. For the rest of my childhood, my mother raised me by herself. I didn't realize it then, but it must have been incredibly difficult for her, as a single mother alone in a country where any relatives were a transatlantic flight away. She did her best not to let me see it, but every so often when she thought she was alone, the mask would fall away, and in every line of her face I could see exhaustion and loneliness. As much as I missed my father, it was those moments that made me wish more than anything that he'd never been taken. Fortunately, I was an excellent student and did especially well in math. I earned a full-ride scholarship straight out of high school and spent the next several years studying. After graduation, I took a job at the Department of Defense, hoping that they might have the resources to help me look for my father. I was immediately assigned to the Special Office of Internal Security. Their purpose is to investigate and sometimes deal with terrorist organizations and other serious threats to the state. I could tell my mother wasn't happy about my decision, but she chose to remain silent about it. Eventually I learned that the terrorist organization that had taken my father were none other than the Myrmidons, although at the time the name didn't mean anything to me. They were suspected of human cloning. Specifically, it was thought that they had been using cloning techniques to copy their most useful members and expand their ranks. The Myrmidons apparently believed that they could use cloning to create a new race of humans. Now at last, I knew the reason for my father's abduction. The commander of the Myrmidons is a man named Left. We knew his name and his gender, but not his appearance or his age. The Myrmidons are closely associated with a cult known as Free to Soul. We believe that Free to Soul provides their funding, but trying to pin any kind of misdeeds on a cult's leader, a man named Brother, is like trying to nail a jello to a wall. Brother is supposed to be fairly advanced in years, and rumors say he's so old he can't even get out of bed. Unfortunately, his mind seems to be as sharp as ever. At that point, I hit a wall. I knew that the Myrmidons had been behind my father's kidnapping, but that was all I could learn about them. Then, one day, I got a tip that some of them were hiding in a building in the Nevada desert. I headed out immediately. On the way there, my car had some engine trouble and stalled out. I was trying to decide what to do when an SUV appeared out of nowhere. I give you one guess of who was behind the steering wheel. Clover. That was the first time we met. There were 4 other people in the car with her, and when I asked what they were doing, I got just the last answer I expected. They told me they'd been locked up inside the very building I'd been on my way to investigate, and that they were currently in pursuit of the people who had kidnapped them in the first place. My priorities shifted very quickly. After a short discussion, I convinced them to allow me to come along. My hope was to find people who they were chasing, who I was certain were the Myrmidons. In the end, however, we were unable to track them down. In fact, I still don't know where they might have gone. Eventually, I took Clover and her companions to SOIS headquarters. We decided involving the police would only complicate things. After some questioning, it was determined that the people who had instigated this particular event were not connected to the Myrmidons. We did, however, discover that the mysterious disappearance and subsequent reappearance of several children 9 years prior was connected to Frida's soul. There was a 6th person in the SUV, although they weren't riding in it per se. A middle-aged man, who I'll call H for now, had been bound and placed in the trunk. According to the other 4, he had been behind the disappearance of the children 9 years earlier. We also learned that his pharmaceutical company, a major player on the world stage, was effectively controlled by Frida's soul. More specifically, I suppose, H was a member of Frida's soul, and very committed to their cause. So why had he kidnapped all those children? Apparently, it had been part of an experiment designed to test the ability of certain people to access what's called a morphogenetic field. I don't imagine you've ever heard of it before, so I'll try to give you a quick rundown. Simply put, these people can access a sort of field that allows their consciousness to resonate within the consciousness of certain other people. To be honest, it might be simpler just to call it telepathy. The SYS had heard of this particular ability before and had actually used it in a number of investigations, so I wasn't surprised to learn of its existence. I was shocked, however, to learn that these experiments had been carried out by a member of Frida's soul. If that were the case, then brother must have known about it. The thought of him discovering a way to control and harness the power was terrifying. It wasn't too long after the incident in Nevada that another tip from the Myrmidons across my desk. This time it claimed that the Myrmidons intended to launch a large-scale biological terrorist attack. My bosses decided that we needed more agents to deal with the threat of the magnitude, and Clover was recruited. Because she'd been a test subject in H's experiment, we knew she had the ability to access a morphogenetic field, and we wanted to put that ability to use. After several months of training, she was sent on her first mission. She would be tasked with the infiltration and investigation of the Myrmidon cloning lab. I was assigned to be her commanding officer. I hoped that our investigation might also give me a lead on my father's whereabouts. At last, I had a chance to find out what had happened to him. I wouldn't let that chance pass me by. Perhaps that was what kept me from noticing the truth. The whole operation was a trap. The lab was fake, and Clover was captured almost immediately. I got there as fast as I could, but when I arrived, the building was only an empty shell. All the conspirators who had pretended to be researchers and the like had already fled. I searched frantically for Clover until at last, in the basement room, I found her. She had been tied to a chair, but on the floor next to her was another body. It was my father. He looked as if he'd just been dumped there, and when I got to him, his body was already cold. He was covered in dark, ugly bruises. It wasn't until later I learned that he'd been died from ruptured organs and internal bleeding. They had beaten him to death. As soon as Clover had been captured, a Myrmidon in a mask had come to visit her. He said that unless she wanted to end up like my father, she would leave them alone, and tell her masters of the SOIS to do likewise. In retrospect, they must have known who I was, and who my father was. That was why they killed him. Perhaps they thought they were sending a message to me, or that once he was gone, I'd lose my reason for chasing them. They were very, very wrong. I took Clover with me and left. I tried to console myself with the fact that I had at least been able to save her. Sometime later, I received a call from the coroner. He told me there was something I needed to see. There in the morgue was my father, cold and pale on a steel table. I could barely stand to look at him, but the coroner insisted. On his arm were 2 rows of numbers, comprised of 8s and 9s. It took me a moment to recognize my father's handwriting. He had carved them to his own skin. On his chest was another message, but there were letters this time, not numbers. Not many, just enough to make a short sentence. I love you, Alice. I broke down crying, right there in the morgue. They were the first tears I shed since the operation had started, and there was no stopping them. There would be no forgiveness. Not for the monsters who put my father through this. They destroyed my family. I would make them pay, even if I had to die to do it. That night I made a promise to myself. I would avenge my father. It didn't take long to figure out that the numbers that he'd written were latitude and longitude. They pointed to a chemical factory that had been disguised as an abandoned building. Further investigation revealed that it was the mother lode who had been looking for, the headquarters of the Myrmidons. I think my father must have known how things would turn out. Knowing he was going to die, he'd written the directions to our enemy's fortress on his own body. He'd sacrificed too much for me to waste this opportunity with recklessness. This time, our operation would succeed. This time, I wouldn't let my excitement put Clover or any of my other agents in danger. So we took our time. We gathered information, we did our research, and we planned. Finally, we were ready. December 25th, 2028 was going to be the day we finally set foot inside a Myrmidon stronghold. But then, on the 22nd, only 3 days before the operation was scheduled to begin, a man in a gas mask appeared. So you inhaled that gas, passed out, and woke up here in the AV room?
Yes. Well, there it is. Everything that's happened with the Myrmidons and me. I left a few of the details out, of course, but you get the idea.
Yeah. Thanks. She gave me a sad sort of smile and stood up.
We should go back.
Not yet. Your story explained a lot, but there's still one big question.
Which is?
Who here is a Myrmidon? One of us planted the bombs. And based off the code we found, it's pretty clear that that person is a Myrmidon. Right?
Yes.
And I agree that we need to figure out who they are.
What do you propose we do?
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about. Do you have any clues?
Clues? Well, if I could decrypt that code, it might tell us something, but...
How can we do that?
I told you. We need a key. Without that, it's pointless.
What's a key?
A key is a key. It allows you to sort of unlock a code. The Myrmidons usually use this huge string of numbers as a key.
Wait. A long string of numbers? Could that be... 78153610988380942419905551.
What the hell?
I was almost as surprised as she was. The numbers had just kind of appeared in my mind, and I was saying them before I knew what I was doing. Alice looked at me incredulously. Damn it, and I stared back. I knew how to say that, but it won't pop into my mouth.
Where did... Wait. Can you say that again?
Oh, here we go again. 781536108898 610988380942419905551.
That's 198,449,351 to the third power.
What?
That number you just told me. Prime factor decomposition on that number gets you 198,449,351 to the third power.
You're talking about reducing an integer to a series of prime numbers that you multiply together and get it, right? Like, if you have 30, then you get 2 times 3 times 5, right?
Exactly. You probably learned that in junior high, right?
So you're saying that 198,449,351 is a prime, and if you multiply it by itself 3 times, you get a big number, huh?
Yes.
Don't tell me you just did all that in your head.
I did do all of that in my head. Simple mental arithmetic.
What? No! No way! That's impossible!
I told you, I'm better at math than most people.
That's not better at math.
Look at you. You just recited a huge string of numbers. That seems pretty astounding, too. Where did you find that number anyway?
I didn't know what to say. What would I tell her? That just came to me?
Can't tell me, huh? Fine. I'm pretty sure that's the key to the code, though. I know the Myrmidons use prime factors for their keys. And there aren't a lot of 25-digit numbers that turn out to be the third power of a prime number. I think there's a very good chance that number you memorized was specifically created by someone.
Could you explain that with small words?
Well, look at the prime factors of your number. 198,449,351 to the third power. I think that's our hint for cracking the code. You still don't get it? Try to remember the code we saw in the infirmary. What did it say on the monitor?
I think the first row was CQ. All those, damn it. You can't remember. I don't know how to remember. Okay, just it's that.
And the second row?
It's this. I think. Then they just repeat.
Wow, you've got a pretty impressive memory. We could really use someone like you back at the...
Well, keep going. How do we decode that?
You use 198,449,351 to point you to the right letters.
And how do we do that?
Well, the first number is 1, so take the first letter. The next number is 9, so go 9 letters over from the first one. Then 8 from that one. Just keep going until you get something. Make sense?
I ran over what she said in my head. The prime number Alice had given me was 198,449,351. So what would we get if we picked out letters like she explained? The first letter would be C from the top left. Then you move 9 to the right, then that would give you O. Then 8 more to the right. Eventually we got a word. And that was... Decode a password using... You'll find 6 characters to succeed, fail, and the game is over. I don't want to fail! How about we do this in the next episode, guys? So this is going forever. But yeah, what an interesting story so far. And I'm liking this. It's like we're solving more stuff. So, as usual, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time for Let's Play Virtue's Last Reward. I'll see you guys later.